I'm in the 2024 brand new Alfa Romeo Tonale. Not only is this the tiniest crossover in the Alfa Romeo lineup, it has a very special powertrain, so let's get under the hood. Under the hood is a 1.3 liter turbo 4-cylinder that produces 180 horsepower by itself and 199 pound-feet of torque. That is exclusively mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. But you also have two electric motors, one up front, it's kind of a motor generator that produces 44 horsepower and a smaller 39 pound-feet of torque. But there's an electric motor in the rear that does a lot of the propulsion by itself, and that consists of 121 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. Total system horsepower is 285, and total system pound-feet of torque is 347. What makes the plug-in hybrid go is a 15.5 kilowatt-hour battery, 14.8 is usable, and there's an onboard 7.4 kilowatt AC charger. I did some 0 to 60s this morning, so I'm going to go over to Kirk in some wet conditions. First 0 to 60 dynamic mode, no torque boost. Yeah. There's 60, 6.54. Now, obviously, well, maybe you can't tell, but it did rain not that long ago here in the morning. It really started taking off when the little 1.3 liter hit about 4,000 RPM, but it did not launch that hard, but it wasn't also fighting for traction. So I'm gonna try to do a little brake boost. I tried it a second ago and the brakes couldn't hold this vehicle back, so that was better. And it is quick. That felt much quicker there. 6.29. I think it can do under 6 seconds in the best conditions. But yeah, around 6 seconds, it just doesn't launch that hard, which is kind of surprising given that it has a pretty powerful rear electric motor. We'll try 0 to 60 here in just electric mode. We'll see if I can keep the engine from turning on. There's 60. So 12.66 seconds. Well, let's get into the exterior design of the Tonale. It is unmistakable the brother of the lower Dodge Hornet, but does come with some unique features to this on the exterior that sets it apart. However, doesn't mean I like it better than the Hornet's looks. Now, the front end of the Dodge didn't even have a Dodge logo, it just had a couple lines. I guess that might be the new Dodge logo, but there's unmistakably the beautiful Alfa Romeo logo with the snake and the cross. We have the triple LED daytime running lights as well, and the unique grille. I just prefer actually the grille of the Hornet up front, as well as the Hornet's cooler top of the hood as well. But what is way cooler in the Alfa Romeo is absolutely its wheels. We have the 5 circles. It reminds me of like a lotus flower, but it also reminds me of like a revolver, for example. This is how I've been charging it. It comes with the level 1, but coming around to the back, we also have parking sensors on this that do work compared to the Hornet that I was testing. You gotta love the high-end dual exhaust here that is tucked into the bumper. It looks very, very luxury-like, a little bit European, a little bit, I don't know, I'm getting almost Aston Martin vibes with the exhaust that is built into the bumper. The rear taillights look amazing at nighttime especially, but they look really cool here during the day even as well, with the light bar that is bisected by the Alfa Romeo logo and the Tonale logo down below. And small little details like this I'm discovering in this car. We have the Italian flag and the turn indicator. Then you also have the Serpent with the plug-in head to it. Very cheeky of them, and I think it's quite fitting in a plug-in hybrid. But I'm gonna go back to Kirk in the past. He's gonna show you the inside. And the back of Tonale, 23 cubic feet of space. Of course, the seats fold down, but you even have a pass-through. Typically see that more in European cars, this being Naples built, not Naples, Florida where I live, but Naples, Italy. We have a lot of European traits to this. You gotta have that Mopar charger though. That's not on brand, but what is brand is the Alfa charging kit here. This is just a level 1. I've been charging it on a level 2 at home. It does come in a nice Alfa Romeo badged little sleeve here as well. Here's your fix-a-flat kit with a pump, so you do not have a spare tire in here. Lights on each side of the trunk, and we have a little 12 volt in here as well for accessory power. Too bad for a plug-in hybrid we don't have have an AC power outlet in here. And getting on the inside, yes, I've been driving my kids around in here. High quality leather in the back, super soft to the touch, but it has been hard for the kids to buckle themselves in here because the receivers for the latches are just so deep into the seat. Mat pocket on each side, and this seat is set up for me at 6'1", so I'm actually quite comfortable back here. And my head isn't even touching the roof. We do have vents in the back, which is great for such a small vehicle. We also have a USB-C and USB-A back here. Unfortunately, like its cheaper brother, we have plastic on the door panel here, a little texturized piece around the door handle with a little speaker grill for the Harman Kardon speaker here at the bottom as well. At least this here, soft touch is stitched as well. Now getting on the inside of the front seat, much better materials up here. This is at least semi-soft touch, and then that same textured around the door handle. We have memory seats, and then you also have the Harman Kardon sound system equipped here, which is optional. You also have the auto folding mirror button here, soft touch here, but it is pretty basic, I would say, overall. But the materials here are very, very nice, super soft, at least on the inside portion here. Gotta love the Alfa Romeo skid plate. And then also the badge here on the headrest looks super high quality, very luxurious. Love the crest. And then the leather seats look awesome as well. Pressing the start button, fires up right away. But I want to show you the exiting animations here are quite awesome. And I love this screen, even though I didn't drive anywhere, it always pops up letting you know how much you drove on battery, how much you drove on gas, and what it takes to charge from your current state of charge on your current battery with different level 1 and level 2 charging rates. But let's go and fire this up. It is hot here in Florida. And these fire up really quick. You're not waiting around for the screens to load. That is a very loud chime though. And I've been keeping it on this screen right here because it tells me how much energy I'm pulling from the battery or from the climate or the engine at any given time. This 10-inch screen is pretty responsive, and I actually, it's one of my favorite that I've tested in recent memory. We have heated and ventilated seats here, so let's go and turn on the ventilation. Don't need a heated steering wheel here in 87 degrees outside at 9:30. But in order to do the passengers heated and ventilated seats, it's actually on this side of the screen. I would always prefer to have physical buttons for heated and ventilated seats and heated steering wheel, but it is what it is. I just plugged in Android Auto for the first time. It doesn't take up the entire screen, which I'm okay with because I can easily get out of Android Auto with these side buttons that stay over here. And I still have access to my climate control seats as well. Speaking of climate control, I really appreciate having these hard touch buttons and switches for fan speed control, auto, and temperature control. Below that, USB-A and USB-C, we have a 12 volt. You also have an Alfa Romeo badged wireless phone charger. I haven't had much luck charging it with my phone. Here's your DNA drive with adaptive damper. So D is for dynamic, N is for natural, A is for advanced efficiency. And this typically keeps it in electric mode as much as possible, but accelerate hard, it does fire on the little 1.3 liter. The steering wheel is fantastic quality, feels great in my hands. The stitching is very, very tight pattern. Typically you don't see this sort of small stitching on steering wheels. So the quality here is quite impressive. Start button is in a strange spot there on the steering wheel. I would have liked this to be like the DNA knob, but it is what it is. Gotta love the crest in the middle, and then the large 12-inch screen behind, which is customizable. I typically, well, you just press this button here, and then it allows you to cycle through different settings. So digital speedometer, miles per gallon, driver assistance features, which of course this has radar cruise control and lane keep assist, but I prefer, since I'm in a plug-in hybrid, to see what the metrics are going on with the propulsion systems. Now this also changes depending on what mode I'm in. So I'm in A mode right now. I'm going to twist it into neutral mode or natural mode and it changes the tachometers and whatnot. And then you also have the dynamic mode, which immediately fires on the engine. But look at the little snakes with the plugs in its mouth, or plug for its mouth, or should I say, at the bottom of the tach and speedometer. But let's go ahead and flip it back into A mode, and the engine turns back off, and then your little EV icon there, as well as your driving mode, shows up at the bottom. Bezel-less rear view mirror here, and I actually, you know, I could probably remove those rear view mirrors and get a good view out of the back. And I do have a large roof in here. I wouldn't say it's pano because it doesn't go all the way back to the back seat, but it is oversized and it looks pretty big in a vehicle this small. Garage door openers right here, folding this down. You also have clips on each side for your, I don't know, insurance or whatnot, and then a little light for the vanity. I do like the overall design here. This illuminates at night. It kind of looks cheap during the day, but at night it looks so much better with the lights shining on it, or shining behind it, should I say. And then you also have the texture that we have on the doors right here around the circular vents. Circular vents, I like how you can turn them on and off. And you turn these vents on and off, so right is off, left is on for airflow. And if you see these little tiny cute ones, that's off and that's on. You can maybe see the flap in the back moving actually. Getting back to the materials, the dash feels pretty solid overall. Actually very little. The only thing that makes some noise when you hit the dash is this plastic bezel on the outside that's piano black, which it's probably going to blind me at some point today. High quality shifter here that's leather wrapped. You also have the volume dial here, just like the Hornet. Electronic parking brake. You have this customizable e-save button, and it took me a while to find it in the menus. It's actually under the e-hybrid setting here, not under car settings. And you go and you can actually use the schedule here to control your charging, which is awesome. But check this out, e-save, you can charge the battery at different percentages here, or 100%. So if you want, you can just put it at 60%, so it'll never charge the battery more than 60%. Or what I prefer is battery save, which is going to keep your electric range here at a steady state, and it'll run more of like a traditional hybrid. The charge setting is pretty neat as well for a plug-in hybrid, giving you estimations for level 2 and level 1 charging. And then you can also control the amperage that it pulls, but it doesn't tell me exactly how much amps it would pull per setting. 360 camera quality is quite good with a couple different angles, and the parking sensors actually work on this compared to the Hornet where it didn't work at all. It told me to take it to the dealer, so maybe the parking sensors are a higher quality here on the Tonale. Driving the new Alfa Romeo Tonale has actually been pretty fun. Like the Hornet that I drove, that is actually about 400 pounds lighter than this, it still handles great even though I have no turns to speak of here in Florida. The steering feel is quite excellent in here compared to the vast majority of vehicles that I drive, and it is very smooth when you're driving it on electric only. Right now I'm on A mode, which is the advanced efficiency. It prefers to be in electric mode here in A mode, but there's no way to lock it into electric mode when you're driving. And if you pull in the massive paddle shifters here, it doesn't do anything for regen braking, unfortunately. It does instantly fire the engine on because it thinks you want to dance at that point, which is perfectly fine. I don't have to twist the knob to get into dynamic mode. I can just hit a paddle switch. Now around town, the electric power here is adequate. It's not going to be world beating. It'll keep you up in traffic, and that's about it. And in terms of electric range, Alfa says that this can get about 33 miles on the EPA cycle with its 15.5 kilowatt hour battery. But the issue is that sometimes the engine will kick on when I don't want it to, so it's been hard for me to calculate exactly the efficiency I'm getting. But honestly, I don't think it'll be hard in city driving to get well over 35 miles of range. I wouldn't be surprised if some people are able to get 40 miles of range. I have been keeping the AC on, the ventilated seat on, and trying to keep this cabin cool here in the Florida sun, and that does not help efficiency. You do feel a lot through the tires and the road. I wouldn't say it's luxury grade by any means. It's definitely more sporty because I can feel a lot of what's going on, which is what you want in like a high handling vehicle, a sporty vehicle like this. Oof, and hitting some bumps on the road like I did back there over a crosswalk, it just makes me, and then I'll hit the sewer. You do feel everything in the car. It doesn't feel cheap by any means, but I just wish I had a little bit more luxury, a little bit more of a buffer from the imperfections in the roads. Luckily, the roads here in Florida are pretty, or at least where I live in Florida, pretty much perfect, so it's never going to really bother me. I'm gonna get hard on the brakes, and now very solid brake feel, to be honest. I really liked how the brakes felt in the Hornet. This is just a little bit heavier, but honestly I don't notice it with the brake pedal. We have a 2-stage pedal here, which is kind of cool. If I press it pretty much all the way down, but then sometimes it does, I don't feel the 2-stage of it, and then it just fired in the engine there. So most of the time with almost full pedal down, you can be in electric mode, but sometimes you can't feel, and I have very small shoes on, so sometimes I can't even feel the two-stage pedal to activate the engine. But it is what it is. Most of the time, if you have a pretty light foot, it'll prefer to stay in electric mode. We're gonna flip it into dynamic mode. I get a little dance here with the tachometer. I get a little screen here. Obviously it says the D. Now just sitting here at the stoplight, in terms of ergonomics, I feel big in this vehicle. I wouldn't want to be any bigger than I am at 6'1" and close to 200 pounds. Now I have a good amount of like spread over from the left to the right. I just feel like I'm sitting up super high, and I can almost reach the other side of the vehicle without leaning. It is very small in here. Now the only turns I really have in South Florida are like on ramps and, oh man, and green arrows. That electric motor, I forgot that it's instant power and torque as I got on the power a little bit early as I came out of the turn there. Luckily this charger in front of me, it means business, but this 6-speed auto is plenty quick, and man, do you really feel that electric shove from the back. And this is very much like a Volvo vehicle where the automatic transmission is only activated when the gasoline engine is on. It's only tied to the front wheels, where the electric motor in the back when you're in full EV mode has just a 1-speed, so it's seamless. It drives just like an electric car. It's fantastic. Still in dynamic mode, I'm going about 50 miles an hour, pedal down, immediate shove from the back, and then it starts going. And you do have noticeable engine braking here. And I do like using the paddle shifters to downshift because they're just so huge. No matter where your hands are at on the steering wheel, essentially you're in contact with the paddle shifters, always begging you to play with them. Yeah, feels so good till about 50, 60 miles an hour onto the brakes because the Palisade's clueless, or it's a Telluride, forgive me. Oh man. Yeah, and the 6-speed auto is very responsive. It immediately picks that gear with my pedals down. It helps that any sort of lag in the system is like covered by that electric motor that fills in any of the gaps. Like, this is one of the more fun performance SUVs I've driven. Partly because it's so small and it's easy for me to just like weave in and out of traffic, but for its size it has a lot of power and torque, and it does what I want it to when I want it to do it. It's very, very responsive. I'm not waiting around, even though it has a traditional automatic transmission. When I'm waiting for the engine to do anything, I'm already getting a response from that electric motor. So very, very happy with the driving dynamics here from this hybrid powertrain. And I wish I could test more the suspension with handling and turns and whatnot. But for me here in Florida, how this thing handles and brakes is more than adequate. Do I think it's worth it in this top of the line grade? A little over $50,000. I mean, that's up to you. Maybe just lease it, but I think the base grade and the mid grade would be perfectly fine for most people out there. It's going to look nearly the same. These wheels are a $2,000 upgrade from the other 5-circle revolver wheels, but I mean, no one's really going to know the difference because these vehicles are so rare, and that's why you would get this over the Dodge, just from the rarity. Yes, the badges, I mentioned that overall, but these things, I don't see Alfa Romeos very much in the United States, even though I live in a very wealthy area. Yes, I see them from time to time in the quadrifolios, but that's why you get this, because you're an exclusive club, unlike the Mopar Club. But let me know down below, would you get this over its cheaper counterpart, the Dodge Hornet? Would you want to have the 2-liter turbo instead of this 1.3-liter turbo plug-in hybrid system? I'd be taking this setup, to be honest, either in the Dodge or this Alfa. I think it's fantastic. It makes me very, very happy, and it's extremely efficient compared to the 2-liter setup. I want to say thanks to Alfa Romeo for sending me my first ever Alfa on the channel. I don't think I've ever driven an Alfa regardless, review or not. So I'm very grateful that Alfa sent this to me. It has been a very rewarding car. I love how cute it is. It fits so well in my garage, and I love the electric aspect of it, making it an even better electric vehicle for city usage. I hope to drive some quadrifolios in the future of the Giulia as well as the Stelvio. That would make me grin from ear to ear, I'm sure. But thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.